Good evening, baseball fans. How are we doing? We got an update on the lockout from today. We got some Freddie Freeman news. We have some Matt Olson rumors. Let's get to it. And what is going on, baseball fans? Hello. 60 people to start things off. What is going on, everyone? It's been quite a few days since I've gone live. I mean, there's really just been no point to go live. It feels like we're beating a dead horse over this whole lockout thing. I have come out with a couple of videos. If you haven't seen those, definitely go check those out. We've had quite a lot of traffic on the channel lately. We have gained around a few hundred subscribers in the last week. So if anyone's new here, coming in for the first time, hello, welcome. We're just talking baseball here all the time. So I appreciate all the new subscribers in the past week and all the familiar faces as well. Who do we got in here? We got Daniel. What's going on? Zachary, one of our moderators. Hello. Justin Lamas. What's going on? E. Gonzalez. Hello. AB. Andrew White. What's going on? Ethan Pardeep. What's going on? Hawk's Eye View. One of our members is here. What's going on? Who else? We got Lionheart 70. Andrew White. Dave Collins. Ed Bagley. Another member. AB. What's going on? Chris Floor. Hello. Boston Productions, A&R Gaming. Who else we got? Hope Geiger, Cameron Burrow, another one of our members. Hirsch for real. Hello. Gregory. Hello. Jacob Toon. Hello. Everyone, welcome. Thank you for stopping by tonight. We're going to talk a little lockout tonight. We're going to talk some Freddie Freeman. We're going to talk some Matt Olson. Not going to keep you too long tonight. But I actually did put into some work on something today. I've been wanting to really dig into what could be a fair bonus pool with this whole lockout thing. So I actually put my potato brain to work, and I think maybe I came up with something. I'll share what my bonus pool would look like here in just a little bit. We're going to talk about all the other details, Freddie Freeman and Matt Olson. But before I do get started, if anyone else is new, think about subscribing to the channel. I can smell baseball on the horizon, so be sure to subscribe for all the latest baseball news and content. Everyone, if you can, hit that like button for me. That's going to help us get out there into the algorithm. Hit the bell notification. Share any of the content. And let's just get to it here. So, everyone, hey, we're beating a dead horse with this whole lockout thing. It feels like we're moving like a snail at this point. It's nice that they're actually all meeting together in Florida. And, they're sitting down and talking. That's always a positive, but it still feels like we're moving at a snail's pace. I will say, a few weeks ago, it felt like a lot of people, they wanted to just get on to the owners. Everyone was just wanting to, blame the owners, say the owners are these greedy, evil people. But now I'm going on Twitter. I'm on Twitterland, the most intelligent place on earth. And I am now actually seeing some people going after the players a little bit, and I've been sitting here the whole time thinking, okay, hey, it takes two to tango, but all right, if everyone wants to, blame the owners, go for it, which I understand if you are taking that stance. I get it. I understand the owners, they're greedy people, but hey, the players, you got to get onto them for a couple of these things too, and we're going to talk about those things here. So let's get into what went down today. It was day 2. The owners yesterday, they met And I didn't go live last night. I just felt like there was nothing else to talk about. If there were a couple other stories last night, I would have gone live, but I didn't want to just go live over the whole, day one of the lockout. But Major League Baseball, the owners, they made their proposals yesterday, and the Players Association, they made some offers today. So let's go over the owners' latest proposal. A bit of small print here. I did the best I could, but here we go. Right now, the owners with the minimum salary, they're offering either a fixed minimum salary of $630,000 or a tier system based off of how many years you've played. So for 1 year, you get $615,000. For 2 years, you get $650,000. And for third-year players, they get $725,000. As for the CBT, which there wasn't really any progress on that today, but the owners, they have basically not really changed their offer on the CBT or the luxury tax line. For both 2022 and 2023, they have set the line at $214 million. For 2024, $216 million. 2025 goes up another $2 million. And then in 2026, it goes up $4 more million. However, a lot of people were getting on to the owners where they didn't just do the small increases for the CBT, but they also did some increases in the penalties if you were to go over those lines. So very interesting. I'm a little split on that. I'll get into that here in a second. But as for the bonus pool, this is another thing they seem to be pretty far apart on. The owners right now, they're offering a $20 million bonus pool, which would go to the top 30 pre-arbitration players. So guys like Corbin Burns, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Jonathan India, and so on. And they increased their draft pool lottery from 3 picks to 4. As for the players, this is what they came back with today. So for the players, they are wanting a much higher salary, and the players, they originally were just asking for $775,000 fixed, but now they have come back to the table and said, well, you know what, we want to increase it year to year. So that was a big change here with the Players Association today, where for the CBT, they're also pretty far apart in that as well. For 2022, they want the CBT line to be at $245 million. So they're pretty far apart in that. As for the bonus pool, they want it for 150 pre-arbitration players at $115 million. And for the draft lottery, they came down from the top 8 picks to the top 7. So let's get to it here. Now, let's give my thoughts on all of these here. So for the minimum salary, you're just going to have to meet in the middle on that. Honestly, with all of these things, you're just going to have to meet in the middle at the end of the day. With the CBT, right? With the CBT, I'm a little split on it, where I can see both sides on it, where the owners, they don't want to raise the CBT because they don't want teams like the Red Sox, the Yankees, the Dodgers just spending willy-nilly. They want these small market teams to have a chance as well. Whereas the players, they want the players to be able to get more opportunities. They want them, the more flexibility you have in that CBT, the more likely a guy will get signed. Right? Because a lot of teams, they don't want to go over that CBT line. They always say, well, if it fits in what we're trying to do, then yeah, sure, we'll go over the CBT. But a lot of these teams don't want to go over it because they don't want to be paying these penalties. They don't want to risk giving up draft picks, international signing money. They don't want to get hit with these penalties. So I can understand both sides where, yes, the players, they want the players to get more opportunities to be able to, earn some more money. But as for the owners, I see what they're saying too, because You don't want just these big market teams just going out there and just, whoa, my volume. I always forget to turn my volume down. Holy cow. Tom Amiano, what is going on? How are we doing? Dang, Robbie, I leave for like 2 months and baseball still isn't back. Tom, you might as well just go back to what you're doing. Who knows when this is going to end? At least I know I can count on you to keep baseball interesting. Tom, thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate you stopping by. I appreciate that, my friend. But yeah, hey, check out some videos from this past week if you want to go back into, memory lane. If you want to go down memory lane again, I kind of talked about some free agents from the past and so on. So go check those out. But Tom, thank you, my friend. Good to see you back. But again, so with the CBT line, I think you're just going to have to meet in the middle somewhere. I mean, that's what negotiations are. You got to just meet in the middle. Now, let's talk about those negotiations, right? A couple of weeks ago, I was just mentioning this. A few weeks ago, everyone on Twitter land was going after the owners, saying, oh, these are terrible people. They don't want to take care of the players. How could the owners be, treating the players like this? And now go on Twitter, and now you're starting to see some more people take shots at the Players Association. Just go on there. You're still going to have a lot of people going after the owners too, but you're starting to see those people where the Players Association, they are really not budging. They are not budging at all. The minimum salary, they ended up changing their minimum salary to where they drop one thing, and then with the minimum salary, they now have a steadily increasing minimum salary. So basically what the owners are doing, if I were to summarize both sides right now, the owners, they started low. The owners are taking a classic, they're doing classic negotiating. They start low and they steadily climb and climb and climb and climb. The players, on the other hand, they start high, but they're not really, they're coming down a little bit and then they're going sideways. So instead of them just meeting in the middle, the owners are slowly coming up the steps and the players are kind of going sideways, right? And, maybe they'll come down a little bit on a couple of things, but that's pretty much what both sides are doing right now. And they're going to have, someone is going to have to budge. And the players right now, they are waiting for the owners to budge. That is what they're doing right now, where they'll kind of give some concessions, but then they'll raise something else. So it's kind of like they're not really making progress towards the middle. But the owners, you can look at them and say, well, they're just giving these really low offers, right? And we'll talk about the bonus pool here in a second, where the owners, they've now upped their offer to $20 million for a bonus pool, while the Players Association, they're at $115 million. So you're far apart on that. Now, the one thing that I have been wondering about with this bonus pool, I've been sitting here thinking, I've kind of ranted about this on a couple of streams where I'm like, what is a fair bonus pool? I don't really know. So today, I actually sat down and I thought to myself, okay, what would a fair bonus pool look like? So I went to Fangraphs. I did some calculators. I kind of plugged in some numbers. So now with the Players Association, they're off. I forget where I read this. Let me see here. Corbin, let me pull up the article. It's on MLB.com, but the one I was looking at today to kind of reference. Oh, wait, it was right here. I actually had the tab open. In the Players Association bonus pool offer, they said Corbin Burns would have gone up from $608,000 to $2.34 million. So on a percentage increase calculator, that is an increase of 285%. So I actually decided to put together kind of my own little bonus pool, kind of a rough estimate. So I am basing this bonus pool that I created off of a $700,000 minimum salary, right? $700,000 minimum salary. So that's what I'm basing this bonus pool off of. So let's go take a look at what it looks like. So as for this bonus pool, I decided to make this bonus pool based off of Fangraph War. So for Corbin Burns earlier, we saw he would have gotten around a $2 million bonus. So he was the only player last year in pre-arbitration, and these are rough numbers, by the way. I know this might be a lot to look at, but I will talk you through it. Corbin Burns, he was the only player in pre-arbitration last year to have at least a 7 WAR. So he would get based off of a $700,000 minimum salary, he would get a $2 million bonus. So then after that, I took 25% off after going down each wins above replacement. So if you had at least a 6, you got 1.5 million. If you had at least a 5, you got a 1.125 million. If you got 4, you got 845,000. If you get 3, you get 635,000. If you get a 2 WAR, you're at 475,000 for a bonus. If you're at a 1 WAR, 360,000, and then 0 to 1, you're at 270,000. So it just goes down 25% each time. Now, I looked at the top 150 players. Okay, so we're basing this again off of a $700,000 salary, minimum salary. So Corbin Burns was the only one, so that would be $2 million. There were 3 players that were in the 6s. That comes out to a total of $4.5 million. There were 8 players that had at least a 5. That's $9 million. There were 16 players with at least a 4. That's $13.5 million. There were 3 WAR. There were 16 players. That comes out to $10.1 million. For a 2 WAR, there were 25 players. That's $11.8 million. For a 1 WAR, there were 53 players with at least a 1. That comes out to $19.1 million. And if you were the players from 0 to 1, there were 28. So I'm basing this off of 150 players. So that came out to $7.5 million. Now, the totals, if there were 150 players, I think I did all the math right. If there were 150 players, that bonus pool, based off of my numbers, would be $77,695,000. What I think the bonus pool should be, if you were to kind of meet in the middle, the owners think it should be for 30 players. The players think it should be for 150 players. So if you meet in the middle, why not just meet at 100 players? The top 100 players for a bonus pool. That would be a $62 million bonus pool, which, according to their numbers, the owners are at 20 million. The players are at 115. 62 is kind of a sweet spot. I think personally that it should be around anywhere from 50 to 60 million. That's what I think. If you're going to do, let me come back to you all here. I think if you're going to do a bonus pool, to be honest with you, I personally think the top players should be getting a bonus. But, if you were to go for the top 100 players, that came out to around 62 million based off of my numbers. Definitely could have gotten something wrong there. I think I did everything. I crossed my T's and I dotted my I's. I think I did all the numbers right. But that's what I think. But when you're looking at all of it, it's just meeting in the middle, right? It's really not anything crazy. So for the players, based off, and again, I base that off of a $700,000 minimum salary. So the players are probably thinking, no, they want a higher salary. So with the players, what they're doing right now is they're not budging. They want the owners to budge. They want the owners to blink. And I guarantee you, we're not going to see anything substantial until the end of the week. I think the players, when you're negotiating, you're playing hardball. Both sides are playing hardball, right? But when the time is getting low, when you're starting to run out of time, you got to do something. And I think the players, both the players and the owners, they got to budge. At the end of the day, it's not rocket science. That's negotiating. And again, it takes 2. You can't blame the owners for everything. You can't blame the players for everything. I blame both. I blame both for all of this right now. What side am I on? I'm on Team Fan. I want to go to some games. I want to go eat some popcorn and a hot dog and go watch a game. I don't care about their dumb negotiations. Their money doesn't matter to me. I'm just a doofus sitting at my desk talking about baseball. I just want to go to a game. So I don't care about their money. They're going to be making millions and millions and millions of dollars. Whatever. I don't care. Just get it done. That's at the end of the day, it's really not rocket science. It's just meeting in the middle. You can't blame the owners for everything. You can't blame the players for everything. It's both, right? So luckily, it's only Tuesday. We got a few more days before the weekend. Hopefully they can get something done. Hopefully they get something done by the end of the weekend. I think if they can get something done by Friday, and then you got kind of the weekend to, maybe get everything over to spring training, you got a few days to kind of get there, right? Now, let's say if things were to end on Friday, let's say they came, they agreed on something on Friday. To be honest with you, I don't see how you could end up having unless they just jump right into games, I guess you could just do that. But I don't know. To me, because don't forget also, there's another important thing here too. It's not just agreeing. You have to ratify everything. There's a lot of little things that you got to do before you can officially, I'm sure once they agree, Rob Manfred will just, give the go ahead, but there's still some things that you got to take care of. Con man, what's going on? Can you explain the arbitration limit since the players want like $100 million and the owners went up to $20 million, but I don't fully understand it. So it's a bonus pool. So this has nothing to do with the salaries. It's just bonuses, right? The players think that the top 150 players in a bonus pool. So if you're looking at, Fangraph WAR, basically the top 150 guys, right? And again, usually pre-arbitration, you're looking at probably around 20 to 26 years old. There are players sprinkled in here, that are already in arbitration, and there's already a couple of guys under contracts as well. Like Shohei Ohtani, Fernando Tatis Jr. So most guys in pre-arbitration are going to be ages 20 to 26, right? And then don't forget about the pitchers as well. So the players, they want 150 of the top pre-arbitration players to get a bonus. How they want to do that bonus, I don't know. Again, that's why I shared my own bonus pool using bonuses based off of WAR, Fangraph WAR. I'm guessing if they were to do that, they would use an average of Baseball Reference and Fangraphs. That was my bonus pool where for 150 players, it came out to around, I think, 77 million, right? Based off of the tier system that I used. And then for the top 100 players, it came out to around 62 million, right? So I don't know what kind of a tier system they're using, but I don't know. That's just what I thought. But that's pretty much all it is. It's just bonuses. It has nothing to do with salaries. It has nothing to do with any of that. So, but yeah, the players at the end of the day, they just want their guys to get compensated. Because I understand, right? Because these young players nowadays, they're the best players in the game, right? Corbin Burns won the Cy Young last year in the National League. Walker Buehler pitching important postseason games, along with Julio Urias. Trevor Rogers was in the running for Rookie of the Year. Looking at, Vlad Jr. would have won the MVP if it wasn't for Shohei Ohtani. So, these young players, they got to get paid. I agree. To me, I'd rather be paying these guys more money. I'm glad that guys like Fernando Tatis Jr. are getting big contracts, and Juan Soto, if he does sign an extension with the Nationals, is going to get a big contract, because pay these guys for their prime years, and whatever. To me, it's when you look at someone like Albert Pujols, when he signed at, what was it, 32, whatever, how old he was, 31, 32, you got the back end of Albert Pujols' career, and you just spent all that money. And you got maybe a couple of good seasons out of him, but that was it. All right. I'd rather be paying these young guys. I think these young guys need to get compensated. So if I were to side with the players, the main thing I would side with is the fact that they want these young players to get compensated. But I'm also, I'm taking the stance as well. Yes, I want the players to be compensated, but it needs to be fair. You can't just be like, all right, we want $120 million. Well, okay, well, where are you getting $120 million from? Okay, like, show us the numbers, show us the data. How are you coming up with that number? Conman752 with another super chat. Thank you for explaining that. No problem, my friend. What, in your opinion, are the biggest hangups that both sides are unwilling to budge from? I just want to see Adley play. I want to see Adley play too. I think it's really just their philosophies on kind of how they see a bonus pool. The players, they think more of these guys should get compensated, where the owners, they think the top guys should get compensated, where I can almost understand that. I can understand where the owners are like, all right, these young guys, we'll do the top 30 guys. Those are like the top guys. But to me, I think there's a lot of these players where, if you're getting, like Dylan Carlson, he was a pretty solid contributor last year with the Cardinals. He had a 2.8 WAR. He's not at the level of Juan Soto or whatever, but this is a guy that was a solid contributor. Even looking at someone like Brandon Lau, I mean, not a big name, but this is a guy had a 5 WAR. This guy should get a nice bonus. He was a big part of that Rays offense. Kyle Tucker was one of the most underrated players in the game last year. This is a guy definitely should get some kind of a nice little bonus. Hey, sorry to be Draft Nick Robbie over here, but Rafael Devers, he absolutely should have gotten a bonus. This guy was killing it last year. There's a lot of guys on here. Austin Riley, had a 4.2 wins above replacement, but there were talks of him possibly even winning an MVP at one point. Yes, these guys, I don't think it should just be the top guys. These are actually guys in the top 30 when it comes to offense. Let me go to page 3, right? If you're looking at, all right, let me go to the next page. Let me go a little higher. All right, let me look, like Wander Franco, right? He played 70 games, right? He had a 2.5 WAR. That guy was a huge part of the Rays in the second half. I think that guy should have gotten compensated, definitely. If you keep kind of going down the list here, Nate Lowe actually had a pretty decent season last year. This is a guy where I think he, should have maybe gotten a little something, and if you go to, the pitchers too, I mean, pitchers, that's a whole other story right here. Taking a look here, looking at someone like Sandy Alcantara. This is a workhorse last year for the Marlins. Again, I know they didn't really do anything, but still, I mean, Logan Webb pitching extremely important postseason games. Had a 4.1 wins above replacement. That guy should get a bonus. Absolutely, he should. So that's basically what I think. I don't think it should be 150 players that should get a bonus. I think because when you start getting into the, top 150, you're looking at guys where, does someone like, I don't know, I'm sorry to, pick out a guy. Josh Fleming, right? He had a 0.5 WAR. His FIP was a 4.27, which was league average. He pitched 100 innings, but his, maybe a small bonus for him, nothing crazy, but I guess it really just depends on your philosophy, on how you see it. What are your principles on it? Do you think these guys down here should be getting something, or do you think it should just be the top guys? I could see an argument for maybe even the top 50. I guess it really just depends on how you see it. For me, I'm always an in-the-middle kind of a guy. Top 100, just do that, right? If you're a top 100 pre-arbitration player, you get a bonus, okay? But what do I know? I got a potato for a brain. All right, enough of this lockout. Let's get to some juicy rumors, shall we? We have someone by the name of Freddie Freeman. I'm not sure if you've heard of him before, but supposedly he might not be going back to Atlanta. Freddie Freeman, oh my. I'm terrible at predictions. On my updated post-lockout predictions, I had Freddie Freeman going back to the Braves, but that might not be for sure anymore. Taking a look at the story. Here we go. I'm actually going to break down some of this stuff for you as well. Oh, let me pull up the story here. Where is the story? Hold on one second, everyone. I think I clicked out of it. Here we go. Sharing the screen. All right, so there is supposedly a growing belief that Freddie Freeman will not re-sign with the Braves after the lockout. You know, honestly, if the fact that the Braves didn't lock him up very quickly, I know the same thing kind of happened with DJ LeMahieu last year with the Yankees. The Yankees weren't really quick to get that guy locked up. But this is Freddie Freeman that we're talking about here. He's been a lifer, a Braves lifer. So people are thinking, how have the Braves not re-signed this guy already? So it kept, the day by day, it was looking like, all right, what's going on here? You know, are the Braves really in on bringing him back? Even Chipper Jones was starting to feel like, all right, I don't think Freddie Freeman's pretty happy about that. I think he could end up leaving, which is actually perfect for what I'm going to talk about, because I'm going to kind of compare Freddie Freeman and Chipper Jones. I'm going to tell you why the Atlanta Braves probably don't want to bring, or they probably would like to have Freddie Freeman back, but at the price tag that he wants, I'm not so sure. So I don't know if it says it in this article, but Freddie Freeman, he wanted, I believe, $180 million. So that was the report according to John Heyman. He wanted a 6-year contract for $180 million. Where does it say it? Yeah, free agent first baseman Freddie Freeman wants a 6-year contract worth around $180 million. So let's do some comparing here, shall we? All right, let me see if my potato brain can keep organized with this. So, Freddie Freeman, okay? You have to understand, Freddie Freeman is 32 years old. He's going to be 33 by the end of the year, I believe, right? Yeah, he'll be 33 by the end of the season. So, Freddie Freeman last year, if you go to his value on Fangraphs, last year he was worth $36 million, okay? That's a good value. That's really good. He's been excellent, okay? Keep that in mind. Chipper Jones, I think that's the closest guy that we could compare Freddie Freeman to, you know, especially when it comes to, you know, someone that was on the Braves. Chipper Jones, in 2001, he ended up signing a 6-year, $90 million contract, right? In 2002, had a good season, a 5.9 Fangraphs WAR. He was worth $23 million that year. But you got to remember, that's 2002. There's something called inflation, right? So if I were to go to Tom's inflation calculator, I feel like always like these very simple looking calculators and whatnot, they're always like the best ones. But I put in, let me go to this one first. So I put in $23 million, right? For the year 2002. 20 years later, $23 million would be equal to around $35.5 million, right? Right around what Freddie Freeman was worth last year, okay? Very similar. I actually put in Chipper Jones' entire contract, right? $90 million, okay? In 2001. This contract would be worth today over $140 million. That's the power of inflation for you. However, what's the difference? Chipper Jones, when he got that contract, he was 29 years old. He was right in the middle of his prime. I believe he just turned 29 years old. Freddie Freeman, on the other hand, he's 32. So Chipper Jones was 3 years younger, and he was worth around the same. I think the Braves, I think they look at Freddie Freeman, and they're like, all right, we think, you know, right now, if you go to Paul Goldschmidt, I believe Paul Goldschmidt among first basemen right now has the highest AAV among first basemen. Okay, so let me pull up the positions here. First base. So the highest AAV, it's Paul Goldschmidt, $26 million. Paul Goldschmidt is 31 years old. Paul Goldschmidt, last year, I believe he actually had a better Fangraphs WAR than Freddie Freeman. He had a 4.9 last year, while Freddie Freeman had a 4.5. Paul Goldschmidt is a little older, granted. He's a little older. So, but I'm thinking the Braves, they're probably thinking, all right, we're not going any higher than $26 million, right? Maybe, and you also have to consider this as well. Freddie Freeman, let me actually go here. Freddie Freeman just finished an 8-year, $135 million contract. They're probably thinking, I mean, we got the best years, historically, the best years out of Freddie Freeman, ages 24 to now 32. Based off of history, those are going to be your best years. I mean, Albert Pujols, perfect example, right? So they're probably thinking, all right, we were giving this guy $16 million, $17 million per year for his best years. There's no way we're going to go $30 million per year for Freddie Freeman. I know there might be some feelings there. I know there might be some emotional attachment there. I know a lot of people out there are thinking he definitely deserves $30 million, but you got to look at it from a business point of view. These guys, these owners and whatnot, these guys, yes, they definitely take into account, obviously the person, but at the end of the day, they have their own algorithms. They have their ways of doing business. To me, I think the Braves, maybe they would have given that to Chipper Jones back in the day, 29 years old. Maybe that would have been a little different. But Freddie Freeman, he's a little older now. I don't see why the Braves would want to give him anything more than Paul Goldschmidt. $26 million. Maybe go a little higher than that. But $30 million, they're probably thinking, no way. We're not going $30 million per year for Freddie Freeman. Because you also have to wonder, too, is it going to end up being $30 million? Because you got teams out there like the Yankees, the Dodgers, teams that love to throw around money. And if they're going to get in a bidding war, his price is going to start going up. So I wouldn't be surprised if Freddie Freeman ends up getting around maybe $32 million per season. If the Braves don't view him like that, there's no way they're going to go that high. So it makes a lot of sense that they would not want, or that they're okay with moving on from him. And it's funny because there were rumors out there that they called the Oakland A's about Matt Olson. Matt Olson, he's still in arbitration. He's going to be getting around, I think, 10, 12 million possibly next year. So they're probably thinking, why would we bring back, we love Freddie. Obviously, we would love Freddie to stay here for the rest of his career, but at the end of the day, this is a business, and we got to do what we got to do. A lot of teams now, they are set in their ways. The Braves, they don't throw money around. They're not a big money spending team. They give out contracts where they try to lock these guys up at young ages. Freddie Freeman, perfect example. They locked him up at 24 years old. Ronald Acuna Jr., how old was he when he signed that contract? 20, 21? So that's what the Braves like to do. They would rather pay someone that is young and get, his 20 to 30 season, get those seasons, get their best seasons in their 20s and their early 30s. They don't want to be paying these guys into their late 40s because look how bad some of these contracts have turned out. There's been a lot of them that have turned out really bad. And the Braves, I know it might be kind of, as a Braves fan, it might, kind of stink, but at the end of the day, it's a business and that's just what it is. But a team like the Dodgers, they want to win. They got a win now team. They got money. They just had Max Scherzer leave. You just had Corey Seager leave. They got some money to throw around. They can throw money at Freddie Freeman. The Braves, they don't want to get into a bidding war. So I'm not really surprised that Freddie Freeman, that there's a growing belief that he's not going to return. Not surprised at all. It all comes down to money at the end of the day. It comes down to it. And I think the Braves, it would definitely hurt in the short term. Absolutely. But I think the Braves, if Freddie Freeman doesn't return, I think they're going to end up being fine. If he does end up going to the Dodgers, you'll definitely get a few good seasons out of him. Maybe even have, 3 to 5 good seasons. But historically, baseball players, they don't age very well historically. More often than not, they tend to just be, you're throwing money away basically, And I think that's just what the Braves, they don't want to do it. And that's just, they have their set ways. So, it is a little sad knowing that maybe, Freddie Freeman will not finish his career with the Atlanta Braves, but I understand it. What could be some alternatives? Well, you got a perfect guy just sitting out there. Let's go to Baseball Trade Values, the best trade simulator on the planet. Don't at me. It is the best. The numbers prove it. So, like we were talking about earlier, you got someone like Matt Olson just sitting out there. The Braves could get a deal done. They got some prospects. So let's take a look. Let's put Matt Olson. So Matt Olson is going to be around a $45 million value. He still has a couple of years of control. He's not expensive. So that's why you're looking at $45 million. Now, if he was, say, a center fielder, a shortstop, his value would be a lot higher. First base is not a premium position. It's not a very, of course, it's an important position, just like all of them. But when you're looking at the importance of these positions, center field, shortstop, they're going to catcher, those positions are very important. So when we're looking at the Braves, right, we got some guys that you could throw back at the A's. One guy that really comes off the bat to me, what am I doing here? What is going on? My potato brain is killing me. So maybe someone like Drew Waters, where a lot of Braves fans were thinking last year, all right, what happened to Drew Waters? This is a guy that looked like he was going to take a step forward, could be our, next best young player, but kind of ended up, not really doing all that much in the minor leagues. Could you maybe work a deal around him? You're looking at around $15 million right now for him. Got around $30 million to go. I don't know if they're going to part with Harris. If we were to go to their top prospects, so the way teams these days, they like to hang on to their top prospects. So Pipeline is not my favorite when it comes to rankings. It's just a quick look. I prefer Baseball America or Fangraphs. But the top 5 on Pipeline right now, Michael Harris is number 4. Teams usually these days, it's not very often they're giving up a top 5 guy, right? They want to hang on to these guys, but they're willing to maybe go guys, 6 on. So if we're looking at number 6 here, you got someone like Ryan Cusick. Maybe Cusick is someone they just drafted recently. So he's a $5 million. So you're still a ways away. You're still looking at around $25 million. Now, would they be willing to, I don't know if they would be willing to, again, he is a top guy, but Shea Langeliers, I don't know. And they have the A's already have Sean Murphy, so I don't know if that would be someone. There is someone like Tucker Davidson. That was a guy we actually just saw in the World Series. Could that be someone? He's around a $10 million value. And so as you can see here, we're starting to make some progress. Maybe 1 or 2 more guys can get this done. Maybe if we're looking here, someone like Strider. Strider is the number 10. And then you got maybe one more guy here, a 5 for 1. You could have a deal, right? And the A's, I could see the A's doing something like this. The A's, they like quantity. So I could see the A's, doing a deal like this. A whole bunch of guys, 6 on. Maybe they don't really care about the top 5 guys. They just want quantity. They want a lot of prospects back. So one more prospect would probably get this done. Maybe someone like Franklin. Franklin is the number 17 on Pipeline. So just throw in Franklin. And this could be a ballpark. I'm not saying, I know a lot of Braves fans probably don't want to give up, Waters, probably would love to hang on to Davidson. I'm not saying this is the trade that I think should happen, but I'm just looking at the numbers. So if you're the Braves, you could get a deal done. At least I would think you could. So there is an alternative out there. You do have Anthony Rizzo sitting out in free agency. That could be someone that you turn to where, similar to Freddie Freeman, and maybe not with the bat so much these days, but, he'll bring a positive influence to the clubhouse, good leadership. He'll give you good defense at first base. He would be, I think, a bit of a step down from Freeman, but I think with Rizzo, that's a solid player that you could add, and he'd be a lot cheaper. So I think the Braves, honestly, they're just looking at it where, again, not getting on to Freddie Freeman here, but he had a 4.5 wins above replacement last year on Fangraphs. The Braves are probably thinking they can get 4.5 wins out of, a couple of guys on their roster. They're probably thinking they can make up those 4.5 wins, a lot cheaper. If you can go sign someone like Rizzo and maybe, add a couple more pieces, you can replace those 4.5 wins. So that's how I think the Braves are looking at it. At the end of the day, we all know it's just money. So to be honest with you, I'm not surprised. I'm really not surprised to see that the Braves would be okay, moving on from Freddie Freeman, because if he's looking for $30 million per season, I don't see why the Braves, especially the way they are with giving out money, I don't see why they would want to go way more than someone like Paul Goldschmidt. I understand you have that attachment, to Freeman. He's a big part of that team, that franchise. He means a lot to that city. But, if you're looking at it from just dollars, to me, if a team like the Dodgers are going to throw 32 million at him, then you can just move on, honestly. And I know that stinks. He would probably be really good for the Dodgers. But the Braves, they're a smart organization. I think if Freeman moved on, I think they're going to end up being fine. They'll figure it out. And there are alternatives out there. So we'll have to wait and see. My prediction on where Freeman goes, I think he goes to the Dodgers. I don't see why I could see a good fit with the Yankees. Just the way the Yankees are, I just don't see him breaking the bank. They've spent money on guys like Garrett Cole, Giancarlo Stanton. I just don't see him handing out another $30 million contract, especially with Aaron Judge, coming up next year. I don't see the Yankees doing it. I think they'll make a phone call. I think they'll could put in an offer. Maybe they'll put in somewhere like Paul Goldschmidt money, 25, 27. But I think the Dodgers, they'll spend that money. I think he's going to go to the Dodgers. To me, I think at this point now, I think it's all but guaranteed. So let me know where you think Freddie Freeman is going to go. But speaking of Matt Olson, there is another team out there that might be looking into Matt Olson. And believe it or not, the San Diego Padres supposedly are maybe taking a look at Matt Olson. Could the Padres add a big bat like this? Let's go take a look. So, Dennis Lin of The Athletic, in his latest mailbag, he figures that the Padres are going to be in the mix. So, here's the problem with the Padres, though. Here's the problem. You got a big old contract like Eric Hosmer just sitting there, right? You do have designated hitter open, where if we go here, let's go to the Padres. Also, I'm seeing 205 people in the chat. I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. We haven't had this many people in the chat for quite a while, so it's nice to see you all coming out tonight. Thank you. But where was I? What's going on? Here we go. Padres. As of right now, again, you have Eric Hosmer at first. At DH, you have Jerickson Profar. So I guess technically you could just trade for Matt Olson if you really wanted to go make a deal, right? You'd probably have to give up one of your pretty good prospects. The Padres are really lacking in depth in their farm system right now. So most likely, I would imagine you would have to part with someone like Robert Hassel or a Luis Campusano. Maybe Mackenzie Gore. Maybe a Mackenzie Gore could be, a change of scenery kind of a guy. But they definitely could just trade for Matt Olson and stick him in the lineup. But the thing with the Padres is that they have been trying to find ways to deal Eric Hosmer. So with Eric Hosmer, well, why are they trying to trade Eric Hosmer? Well, they're trying to get more payroll flexibility. So if you look here at Hosmer, He has a big old negative value right now. Very similar to what with what Nolan Arenado I cannot talk. Nolan Arenado's value was when he got traded to the Cardinals, which, by the way, in case anyone needs a reminder, the Rockies won that trade. Just in case anyone needed to hear that. Just letting you know. I love bringing that up sometimes. But here we go. Eric Hosmer, very similar. Nolan Arenado had a big old negative value because he was starting to get some injuries. He had a big contract. So they were underwater on that contract, like a used car, right? The more miles you start putting on that car, the more that value starts to come off. Eric Hosmer, big old negative value, negative 50. So if you were to do Eric Hosmer, I don't know, let's just pick a random team. I don't know, I'll just do the Cubs just for whatever. Hosmer to the Cubs. There's a few things you could do. With Eric Hosmer, you owe him $60 million, I believe. I'm pretty sure it's around $60 million. Let me actually go to their payroll. Hosmer, he is $20 million this year, $13 million next year. So yeah, you're looking at around $60 million. Yeah, around $60 million. So you're going to have to really pay some of that contract. So let's say you paid half, right? Let's say just in this example of a trade, you send $30 million with Eric Hosmer to the Cubs, right? Just an example. Okay. Now you would only have to give up $20 million worth of prospects to get it even, right? So if you were to go to the Padres, if you were to, let's say, give up Campusano, well, now you're over water, right? Now you're looking pretty good. So now the Cubs, they would, based off of values, they would only have to send back, maybe a couple of cheap prospects. This is basically a salary dump, right? Or if you were to instead throw Hassel in, well, now you can maybe get a couple of pretty good prospects back, right? This would be tough to do if you're the Padres. Man, giving up Hassel, I think he's going to be really good. But if you want something in return, you're going to have to give up, I think, at least some cash. Because I don't think the Padres, sure, if they really wanted to, they could throw Abrams in there. I don't know if that would be smart. If you wanted something substantial, if you wanted to send cash with Hosmer and then Abrams, you would get something back pretty decent. So, I don't know. I wonder if the A's would do it. I know that might sound a little crazy, but if the A's had a chance to get someone like C.J. Abrams, I wonder if they would do it. I don't know, because they want to clear out payroll, so I don't know if they would do something like that, but could be interesting. But again, I don't think the Padres would part with Abrams. I don't think they would do it. That's a really good prospect. He's one of the top prospects in all of the game. I just don't see. But you see what I mean here. If they wanted something decent back for Hosmer, they would have to include some cash and a top prospect. So I think for the Padres, it's going to be really interesting. I think, could they just go over that CBT? Could they just go over it? Right now, the Padres, they're already at $215 million. So if they don't want to go over it, which it makes sense why they wouldn't want to. They just went over it last year, and they didn't make the playoffs. So now they're at risk of going over it for a second straight year, and now you're looking at more penalties. Do you want to do that if you're the Padres? So to me, if they're going to add Matt Olson, I think they're going to have to get rid of Hosmer, and they're going to have to get creative. To me, if you were to do Hosmer, if they were to pay half of his contract, then you're looking at, you are getting a little bit of payroll relief, So if you paid half of his contract every single year, let's say they paid half this year, that'd be $10 million. That would come off, so you'd be at 204 roughly. So I don't know if that would even help them fit Olson under the CBT. I don't know. They're going to have to get rid of Hosmer. And if they want to, oh, we got a super chat. Oh my, Shane Bentley, what is going on? The Braves should be thankful for Alex Anthopoulos. Once Liberty Media bought the franchise, the Braves have been hand-tied of what they can do. Alex somehow put together a World Series team with limitations. Absolutely. You know, the Braves, they've always been pretty good. I mean, they ran into, you know, the whole international signing thing. They got a lot of penalties for all that, but they've always been pretty good at handling their money and, you know, making trades. Like the way the Braves made trades last year, it was phenomenal. You know, you lost Ronald Acuna Jr., your superstar player, and then you brought in guys like Jock Peterson, Adam Duvall, Eddie Rosario to make up, you know, that loss. And they just made some great trades. Jacob Toon has been a member for 6 months. Jacob Toon, my friend, thank you so much. But yes, it's, I don't know. I think with the Padres, they're going to have a rough time if they're trying to get rid of Hosmer. There's no way I think that they're going to get rid of him unless they part with a top prospect. I just don't see why a team would take Hosmer because I don't know. I'm trying to think, you know, could the Rangers maybe want to do it? Maybe. I don't know. But they got Nate Lowe. So I don't know. I don't see why you would do it. It's good. Where did baseball trade values go? Did I click out of it? Oh, here we go. So again, if you want to part with an Abrams, you definitely could, and you would probably get something pretty decent back. Hassel, Campusano. That's the problem with the Padres now. I remember I said it last year, and everyone on Twitter was getting on to me. And I'm like, they made the trade for Yu Darvish. And I said, okay, well, do they have any prospects left? And everyone was getting on to me. You know, like I had like a mob come after me. And I'm thinking, okay, all right. All these Padres fans hate me. And, yeah, look what happened. So now really your top guys in the minor leagues, Abrams, Hassel, you got Campusano, and then Gore. You know, and that's pretty much it. You got a few other guys. You got Wood. You got Mears. You know, there's a few guys that are okay. But like top guys, yeah, they still got a few of them. But after that, your depth is really running thin. You know, I'm not saying that there's not any good players in their system. Just a lot of them are very far away, and they haven't really established themselves. So that's the thing with the Padres right now. You got a few really good guys at the top, and then kind of just mysteries, you know, all over the place. So, anyway, that's all I got for tonight, everyone. That's all I got. Can the Padres get Matt Olson? I think they're going to have to get rid of Hosmer. Or could they get rid of Will Myers? They could do that too. So, but I don't see the Padres getting Matt Olson unless they clear some payroll. I think Matt Olson, at this point, I think the Braves are a really good candidate. The Yankees, I still think, are a good candidate. Do the Yankees go that route? I would love for the Yankees to keep Oswald Peraza. I've been saying that for quite a while now. Everyone's probably getting annoyed at me saying that, but that's what I think. So, another team, you know, could the Rangers get in on Matt Olson? I think it's going to be interesting. Hopefully this lockout ends this week. I'm praying. I'm hoping. Hopefully we start to see, you know, it's Wednesday tomorrow, then we got Thursday, Friday, and then we got a weekend. Hopefully this is all done. I think I'm going to stay optimistic. I hope we have baseball next Monday. If I were to go one way right now, I think they find a way to break through. You know, there's urgency there. The fact that they came together this past week and or this week and, you know, they're sitting down for hours and hours. You know, there's urgency there. I think they get something done. I know it might not look great. It's only Tuesday. You know, Tuesday's kind of like that whatever day of the week. You know, Monday's a good fresh start to the week. And, you know, a lot of people hate Mondays anyway. But I actually like Mondays better than Tuesdays. As a teacher, Mondays are just easy for me. But Tuesdays are always a drag. So maybe Wednesday or maybe hump day will bring something good tomorrow. Hopefully by Friday we have something. So, hey, make sure everyone you leave me a like before you get out of here. or dislike. That's okay too. If you have any comments, please leave them in the comments below. Let me know what you think about the lockout. Freddie Freeman, Matt Olson. I want to know what you guys think. Be on the lookout for uploads this coming week. I got something tomorrow for everyone. Be on the lookout for that. And then probably something for Thursday as well. Look out for any live streams, any big news. I'll be going live. Everyone, thank you so much for coming out tonight. Have yourself a good night. Have a good day tomorrow, and I'll talk to you next time.